So, it represents the core of each individual, and our sense of values, I think, comes from the very presence of the soul. If we have a sense of values at all, it is because of that soul factor that's deep within us. It represents the core of our being, and that's what pursues us to seek values in the first place.
And I think that on that level of the soul, which is one in all human beings, we can identify certain values that we all have in common. And one of these is a love of truth. Now, we could say, and some people do, that your truth is not my truth. Truth is relative. I don't think necessarily that truth is relative so much as that our perception of the true is relative, depending on our spiritual evolution and understanding. Sogyal Rinpoche, a Buddhist teacher, said a very enlightened thing about truth. He said spiritual truth is not something elaborate and esoteric. It is, in fact, profound common sense. Profound common sense. And I think we all know spiritual truth when we hear it. But what has to be retained in our understanding of truth is that layer upon layer we expand our understanding of what is truth. And what at one stage of the way might seem to us a great spiritual principle or value, at a later stage of the way is superseded or transcended, or maybe the word is subsumed by a still greater principle. And the lesser principle always has to give way to the greater. That may explain why people have different perceptions of truth.
Yeah, that's inevitable, I guess, given the focus of consciousness, where each particular person lies, where their consciousness lies, and because sometimes they have this revelation of what they perceive to be truth, and it sort of transforms them, and they hang on to that perception and think that it's the only truth, and that's when they usually end up in going through some kind of crisis at a certain point, because some other truth comes along to shatter that little lesser truth, and then they have to wake up to that fact.
Shatter is the word, because when our thinking becomes fixed, a stage of crystallization sets in. When we think we've nailed it and there's nothing more to be said, this is the truth, this is the value, and that's it, discussion ended, that's a danger sign, because always we should be seeking to expand our understanding of truth. The Ageless Wisdom says that truth that is grasped by the intuition is straight knowledge. I like that term, straight knowledge, not circumvented, not circuitous in the way we receive it, but it's just like a bolt of lightning. It's uncorruptible and it's unassailable because it reaches the mind in a direct way, and that truth that comes from the intuition is perceived whole, complete, and unadulterated. There aren't too many instances one can point to where one perceives truth on that level, but they do come to all of us, I think.
For those people who just tuned in, you're listening to Inner Sight. Our topic for today, values to live by. We have an offer from Lucis Trust today, and that's the leaflet. It's a leaflet, the title of which is Values to Live By. And really, we've based our shows on the values set forth in this leaflet. So you might want to look at some of the values on this. And I think there would be also wonderful values to teach students, or to talk with your own children if you'd like to, because I think that I know for me one of the most profound conversations I had was with a professor when I was a young student at college, and he said, Robert, he said, one of the most important things that you can do for your life is to develop a code of ethics and to stick to it, and that planted the seed about what a code of ethics is and what values should I have. And I remember it made such an impact on me. So you might want to give us a call and ask for this leaflet, Values to Live By. Look at it yourself and think about what your own values are and how they measure up and compare to these values set forth in by the Lucis Trust organization as far as values to live by, and take a look at them, compare them to your own, and perhaps even teach them to your children or your students. Talk about it, stimulate a discussion, perhaps even have them write a composition. But if you'd like the leaflet, Values to Live By, please call us, ask for us. Call our toll-free number, 1-866-695-8247. The easy way to remember it is 1-866-NY-LUCIS. Lucis is L-U-C-I-S. Think of 1-866 New York Lucis. We appreciate your donations. They really demonstrate your support for this program, for what we do, and we like to continue doing it. So thank you very much, and please to continue to send those donations to us. They are tax deductible, and if you'd like to continue donating, or if you haven't donated before and would like to start, send your donations in the form of a check or a money order to Lucis Trust, L-U-C-I-S, Lucis Trust, 120 Wall Street, New York, 10005. And also we have a website, by the way, and the website is www.lucistrust.org, and if you key into that website, you can find out a lot of information about Lucis Trust. And also, I guess the primary reason why people key into the website is to listen to the previously archived library of radio shows that we have. We have so many of them archived there for you with many different themes. Let's get back to our show on values. I was thinking, Sarah, Dal, what are some of the highest values that are spoken about in not only Lucis Trust, but Alice Bailey, the founder of the Lucis Trust?
Well, a love of truth is one. Another is the sense of justice. That's a deeply spiritual value. And there's a wonderful quotation from Martin Luther King that I just love. He said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And that really strikes deep into my soul, that is true. It bends towards justice. That all things in the world gravitate, grow toward a just resolution. And that gives me hope when I see wrong being done, when I see people suffering unnecessarily, when I see the unfairness of life, which we all witness, that somehow in the end it does work itself out. It does bend towards justice. That, I think, is an intuition from the soul, because anybody who looks at the world would say that's not necessarily true. But it takes into account, I think, a longer period than simply this one life, and it looks at the meaning and value of life from more than just the outer material plane. He also made a statement that's on the monument to the civil rights movement in Birmingham, Alabama, that quotes from the book of Amos in the Old Testament, "Until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream." Again, that sense of power that drives forth justice.
Yes, it seems to be related to karma. Anyways, it's bringing things into balance, bringing your life into balance. If it gets off center, it brings us. The law of karma tends to bring us back to the center again. And that's where justice is meted out. It seems it isn't punishment, and we shouldn't look at it that way so much as it is bringing into balance and trying to find that middle way, that middle ground.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if the prison systems of the world approached justice from the standpoint of restoring balance within society and within the particular individual criminal's own life? Rather than punishment, there should be a restoration of the spiritual equilibrium that was destroyed by committing an act that is considered criminal. And what you're saying, I think, was touched on by Alice Bailey when she said that the great law of spiritual retribution requires